வாழ்க வையகம், வாழ்க வையகம், வாழ்க வளமுடன். குரு வாழ்க, குருவே துணை. Respected MVR Ayya, Madam Vijayalakshmi, and all other dignitaries, and the learned, knowledgeable listeners, I thank one and all for providing me this chance to provide this theory. Today, what we are going to take up is Big Bang Theory, Science and Vethathiriyam. What is the contribution of the Vethathiriyam is, it is through the journey of the consciousness. Whole universe, everything is well within the consciousness only. We only differentiate it as matter and energy. Matter, energy, everything lies within our consciousness. That is, we are going to see further. Now, let us come to the science part of it. There are so many, we are seeing in the screen, so many theories about the origin and expansion, origin and birth of universe. About that, there are so many theories, without doubt. In this, all were in a way rejected or is not standing for the questions. But Big Bang, till now, is the forerunner. But to be precise, in these rejected theories, some of them are supported by Vethathiriyam. If you see the steady state theory, it is like that only. It says that there are continuous creation of the matter. Vethathiriyam says the same thing. Likewise, in other this one, cosmic inflation and oscillating universe, everywhere the support is there from Vethathiriyam, but the scientific support is less for that. Now, first we will come to Einstein. He is the base for this Big Bang theory, the greatest scientist. Everyone knows the Big Bang is our best guess on how the universe started out. According to NASA, it was denser in the past and it will become less dense in the future. Not all scientists were happy with that, so they came up with a way for the density to remain constant, even in an expanding universe. That resolution involves a continuous creation of matter at the rate of about 3 hydrogen atoms per cubic meter per million years. This model fell out of favor with the discovery of the CMB, which the model can't easily explain. They say it was proposed, it has to, the creation should be there and all to balance the density of the universe. But our Vethathiriyam, Maharishi said the space, and that is Vethan, basic, secondary consciousness is expanding along with its space. That is, we call it as God's particle, formative dust particle. This Fred Hoyle, we have to say something very interesting about him. He was the first person to name it as a Big Bang. When he was interviewed in the BBC, he said after this Big Bang theory, he commented, "What, this universe has burst into a bang? Was it a Big Bang?" He has expressed. The same name has got to it. Although best known as a supporter of the steady state theory of universe and a determined opponent of the commonly accepted Big Bang theory, Hoyle also received international acclaim for his original work on stars, galaxies, gravity, and origin of the atoms. Of course, he has supported steady state theory. Jayant Narlikar, an Indian born Maharashtrian, from Pune. He submitted the Hoyle-Ehrlicher theory boldly proposed the continuous creation of new matter in an infinite universe. Their theory was based on what they called a quasi-steady state model. In his autobiography, My Tale of Four Cities, Ehrlicher used a banking analogy to explain the theory. I don't know what is that banking analogy. Somehow he is connected with this Big Bang. This is how we have imagined, everybody has imagined. Everyone knows, everyone knows about Galileo, Newton, and Einstein. The name of these famous uh, personalities in physics, but few have learned of Georges Lemaitre, the father of today's theories on the origin of the universe. Lemaitre was born in Charleroi, Belgium, on 17 July 1994 and died on 20th June 1966. Georges Edward Lemaitre was a Belgian astronomer and cosmologist. He was the first to propose the modern Big Bang theory, the theory that universe began from the explosion. In 1915, the Big Bang theory all started by this. In 1915, Albert Einstein presented a general theory of relativity. As per his theory, the universe is expanding and galaxies are moving apart. That was his mathematical calculation shows that. But he was not able to accept, but to stick to Newtonian steady universe. I mean, Newton said the universe is steady, but the objects within that universe were moving. That was his theory. He added a cosmological constant. By 1929, Edwin Hubble has given a physical proof of drifting galaxies. Then Einstein has withdrawn the constant. This basically gave a path to the thinking of Big Bang theory. It was all started as mathematical assumption. This is Alexander Friedman, 1888 to 1925. He was a Christian. Friedman in 1922 introduced the idea of expanding universe that contained moving matter. He take it as it is. Einstein introduced the cosmological constant, but without that constant, Friedman has analyzed his theory, Einstein's theory. Einstein was unwilling to accept the idea of an evolving universe and worked instead to revise his equations to support the static eternal universe of Newton's time. In what would later be dubbed the Friedman equations, he showed that by varying a few assumptions, including the value of the cosmological constant, Einstein's equation could be described. Yeah, this could describe a universe that expands over time, contracts over time, or contracts and then expands. That is what Friedman has told. Edwin Hubble, he only narrated that the galaxies were drifting away, the universe is expanding. All those things were proved by Edwin Hubble. Now we will think about it. These galaxies and stars, all matters are drifting apart, expanding, and all means how far it will expand. It will keep on expanding, and what makes them as a system, as a group means that is the in between gravity. The gravity pull between the galaxies and other things make them as a steady system. So when they move apart from each other, the gravity will get reduced, and the attraction force will reduce, and the drifting will get accelerated. And what will happen to the galaxies? This was the question. That is one thing. When they were moving apart, it may happen. Otherwise, it will happen since there is a push. Because of that push, all the galaxies and other things were moving apart. At one stage, the pushing power may reduce and may come to zero, then there will not be any movement or expansion of the universe, and it will keep its position same. And the other proposal is all those things will expand, and at one stage they revert back and become a singularity. This is the third. And the third one was taken and accepted by the scientific world. The famous British astrophysicist Stephen Hawking, everybody knows, wrote in his book, A Brief History of Time, that Hubble's discovery that universe is expanding was one of the great intellectual revolutions of the 20th century. Who could have guessed such a future for Edwin when he began his PhD in astronomy at Chicago University in 1914? In 1929, he made another startling find. All galaxies seemed to be receding from us with velocities that increased in proportion to their distance from us, a relationship now as Hubble's law. This discovery was a tremendous breakthrough for the astronomy of that time, as it is overturned the conventional view of static universe and showed that universe itself was expanding. More than a decade earlier, Einstein himself had bowed to the observational wisdom of the day and corrected his equations, which had originally predicted an expanding universe. Now, Hubble had demonstrated that Einstein was right in first place. Then the most important thing of this is CMB. We will come to this later. This Big Bang remains the preferred theory of many scientists, supported by two key observations: the expansion of the universe and the cosmic microwave background. Immediately after Big Bang, the universe was much smaller and hotter, filled with glowing plasma like the sun. We still see the end of the super hot phase in the form of sea of radiation filling the whole space. The expansion of universe over intervening billions of years has cooled the radiation down to minus 454 degree Fahrenheit or minus 270 degrees Celsius, but it is still detectable by the radio phase telescopes. Now, this is the major and main support for the Big Bang theory. This which we are going to contradict which with Vethathiriyam and consciousness. And Robert Woodrow Wilson and Arnold Penzias, both are the both were working at Bell Labs in New Jersey, where with Robert Woodrow Wilson, he worked on ultra-sensitive cryogenic microwave receivers intended for radio astronomy observations. In 1964, on building the most sensitive antenna receiver system, the pair encountered radio noise that they could not explain. It was far less energetic than the radiation given off by the Milky Way, and it was isotropic. So they assumed their instrument was subject to interference by terrestrial sources, but that was cosmic microwave background. CMB looks virtually the same in every direction, which can't be explained in the universe if the universe has always expanded at its current rate. This is main. Even the scientists are questioning in that term. When there was always expanding, universe is expanding, and how come the CMB can be uniform everywhere and always? Many scientists believe it went through a brief period of extremely rapid inflation, a fraction of a second after the Big Bang, suddenly ballooning in size from a subatomic scale to several light years. This also we are going to contradict with the help of Vethathiriyam. We will come in a brief explanation. 15 billion years ago, singularity was a point with zero radius, infinite heat energy. The Big Bang was 100 billion degree Celsius. Only light was present. 1 second later, it was 100 billion to 1 billion degrees Celsius. This was also 1,000 times the core temperature of the sun. It contained neutrinos, neutrons, neutrons, electrons, protons, light, etc. After 2 minutes, at a temperature of 1 billion degrees Celsius, a hydrogen isotope called deuterium, containing one proton and one neutron, and a helium nucleus, but no atom. The universe expanded and cooled without any major changes for 300,000 years. The temperature was 3,000 degrees Celsius. Hydrogen was the majority and helium atoms were present. After 5 billion years, stars and galaxies were formed. This is the contribution of the science about the universe. Now let us come to Vethathiriyam system. What Vethathiriyam? It is the whole universe and the system of universe, energy, matter, everything is nothing but evolution of the divine state. When we call divine state, it is absolute space in the beginning. In this absolute space, from absolute space, the formative dust particles, that is unmanifested magnet, we call it as divine particles, have come. They aligned together and brought up Vethan particles. From the Vethan particles, universal magnetism has come. Universal magnetism, in the sense that is another manifestation of the unmanifested magnet. And there comes 5 elements like air, water, everything, and 5 senses like pressure and smell, like that. Then all these things evolved into universe. I have given in a very short terms, because everybody might be knowing about all these things, much aware of this. The one who is called God is the state of knowledge. We call it as God, rather than it is a AI translation, so there would be some differences. God is the state of consciousness. It can be called great consciousness, true prajna. Wherever it is everywhere. Wherever you see, it is all only the absolute consciousness. It is permanent. It is boundless. Therefore, beyond the absolute space, there is also absolute space. Therefore, there is nothing that supports the absolute space. Therefore, it is eternal. There is nothing that preceded it. This is the beginning. Absolute space is the basis of all beings, cosmic objects, and everything, the God. God is the state of being immaterial, without the manifestation of light, sound, smell, and it is darkness. The darkness that is included in the word of Thiruvallur, சேர்ந்த இருள். It is the desire for the entire universe to remain within its own sphere in the grip of love. We feel the grip that love as attraction. அகிலாண்ட கோடியெல்லாம் தன்னருள் வெளிக்குள்ளே தங்கும்படிக்கு இச்சை வைத்தது எது? That love is attraction. Since magnet has the property of attraction, we call it as magnet. I call it a magnet. This is the attempt to know the unknown with what is known already. Since the grip of this love is everywhere, as its grip, as its attraction, we also know it as the English word gravity. Now, I should thank one Dr. Anand, who was a psychiatrist. He wrote a book. I had taken the words from him that exactly suits absolute space. Absolute space, it is the first plane. This is the absolute plane. This is the origin of all planes. There is nothing in it. The plane where the unformed one remains silently in itself. There is no experience. There is no experiencer. There is no universe. no consciousness. There is no I-ness. There is only that. It remains in itself without time, without space. The state of being in the abyss of the end of the universe, in the non-existence of God as nothing. In the scientific term, it is singularity. In scientific terms, we call it as singularity, and this is the singularity, nothingness. Even I-ness is not that. For example, we can understand like this divinity. How to understand the divinity? Divinity, if it sleeps, if it is in deep meditation, in Indian terms, if it is in nishtai, that position is it has to be the absolute plane. There it is, but nothing else. In a universe where there is nothing, if there is only one thing, whether it is matter, energy, knowledge, or consciousness, it is non-existent. If there are two and are of the same nature, then that two is non-existent. There cannot be two skies in the universe, isn't it? When we write 0 to represent the answer, 1 minus 1 is equal to 0. Whether we write 1 0 or 2, it is still 0. If both are 2 in nature, one will cancel the other out if they are opposite in nature. But have two different natures, and whether they are little or big, the big will always exist. Therefore, even if they are two different things, one should be the basis for the other, and the bigger one should be holding and a space for the smaller. That is, in him you are, he is in you. Maharishi says, Avanil Dani, Unni 11. This is a scientific hypothesis. If in universe, when there is nothing, if there is only one thing, it is as good as nothing. If there are two things of the same nature, then it also to be said as nothing. If there are two things and the opposite to each other, the opposite they will cancel each other. If if there are two things and one is bigger and one is smaller, the smaller will go off. So this has to be the condition, that one has to be bigger and the other has to be smaller, and the smaller has to be supported by the bigger one, and as well as a space to hold the smaller. The smaller should be the basic reason for the bigger to realize itself, to the sustenance of the bigger. This is a scientific theory. It holds very good with the poem Avanil Dani Unni 11. Formative, then comes formative dust particles. This is second level. Again, I took the words of Mr. Anand. Mr. Anand, I should introduce. He is a article writer in Hindu. He wrote a lot of books as well. Hard thinker, very good person, and his words have suited all this level. So I have borrowed the words from him. Now, second level, it bifurcates itself into two. I-ness born. In this place, this sense of I-ness arises. That is the ego, self-identity. We can take this as the very first tiny fraction of a moment when we wake up from deep sleep. So we get confused. When I-ness means it is without any experiences or any imprints in that. Simple I-ness, I. That is why I am comparing with that. At the moment of, at the very moment of coming out of the sleep, we will first feel the I-ness. Then comes the other thing. Then comes, I am a man, I am of this age, I know everything. Everything comes into that. All that imprints come into that. Till then, it is empty. Both I and that exist. That is one without I-ness, and the one is simple bare I-ness. At the root of experience, this is present. There is nothing else. The experiencer and the experience are there. Even though it is split into two as the experiencer and the experience, there is no actual content within the experience. I mean, no imprints, nothing in that. This is the plane of pure consciousness or awareness. Thus, from the state of knowledge, I mean, state of consciousness that I am that very reality, it divides and descends into the second level of knowledge. The divine space, made up of divine particles, contracts under the surrounding pressure force, gains density, and become patches here and there as formations. After contracting and gaining density, it resists the surrounding pressure. Thus, it begins to rotate on its own. At the center of the field, consciousness is established. If something revolves, spins, there will be a point where there will not be any movement, plane. That is consciousness. It is placed in the center of that revolution. Separated, this is getting separated from the absolute space, yet still within it. Within that, it is like we can imagine, it is like we could have seen Toronto. We would have seen that whirling air. We would have witnessed in small and big level. Whereas the part of it also made up of the air only. That what is revolving also air. Like that, we have to compare and take it up. This is the first manifested substance. The state of consciousness itself is the whirling magnetism, because the formative dust particle earlier got fragmented by the surrounding pressure force of the absolute space is of magnetism. The dynamic field made of divine particles, when further compressed by the surrounding pressure, condenses, and through this rotation becomes an individual state of consciousness, and thus known as Vedan. The Vedan is the basic and building brick of this universe. Vedan, through the journey of consciousness, emanates into atoms and elements. These elements dissipate five senses. Then all blossoms into a universe. Now, in this part of speech, all are not direct words of Maharishi, but are the derivatives. Why I am telling is
Let me quickly ask you a question. So, isn't the space itself a consciousness, or you mentioned that the consciousness is established when the
yeah, it got
energy.
separated. Yeah, consciousness is consciousness. We can say it will be in the center, and that spinning portion of that magnetic this one is Vedan. In the center of the Vedan, there will be consciousness. Consciousness sits at the center of the Vedan. This is the first particle like that. Formative dust particle. For example, absolute space, formative dust particle, the unmanifested magnet, universal magnet are all of one dimension. All are divine state. With the birth of Vedan, the secondary dimension began. I mean, the consciousness bifurcated itself into the higher plane and the lowest plane of the universe. We will not be from this three-dimensional world able to perceive. Maharishi told this. Divine state will not act, but there will be movement in its own dimension. Movement can never be an action. Movement, if it is unidirectional and unintended, it is not action. As per Newton's word, every action should have an equal and opposite reaction. If there is any action, it will be the part of creation of universe. Maharishi is not in the favor of creation of the universe. He, God himself, divinity itself has manifested into the universe. That is our basic of the Vethathiriyam. Now, if you see, universe began with singularity in both Big Bang theory and philosophy of the Maharishi. Maharishi also said that from absolute space, the universe has begun. But there is a difference. Big Bang singularity, in Big Bang singularity, has a definite infinite mass and infinite energy at a point of size of subatomic level. Here, all the physical laws come to a standstill. You cannot guess what was before that point. Vethathiriyam says at the beginning is absolute space, which is infinite. Infinity is metaphysics. It depends on the level of consciousness. For an ant, my house and garden could be infinite. For a virus, even a bacterial level could be infinite. So the beginning of universe could be of any level. So the beginning of the universe need not be from the infinite level. It can be, say, smallest point as well, because the ultimate and the final, the consciousness of the divinity can go to any level, and it could have begun the universe with the tiniest point. It is possible. Even the tiniest point could be, for its consciousness may be infinite. There is no multi-consciousness at the beginning. There is no other consciousness except the supreme consciousness of the divinity. Hence, we cannot perceive. We are from the secondary consciousness level. So we cannot perceive the higher plane. For example, in the progress of the universe, ant, ant and other things, everything comes from one consciousness, one level of dimension to another. The ant, which is living in one dimension, where it cannot it cannot have the three-dimensional view. For its eyes, it is only two-dimension. If it walks over the floor and there comes a pencil of a different color or anything, if it comes in before it, the ant will think that the floor has suddenly changed the color, or suddenly changed, there is a sudden change. It may not see the third dimension, but definitely any object will be able to realize the gravity. So the gravity difference it will be able to realize, but it will not see it as a third dimension. So the ant will come and kick that pencil and go around it. If you can watch, this is practical. That is how, if we are in one dimension, we will be, which from our dimension we can view and perceive the lower dimensions. We cannot see the higher dimensions. Even it was very difficult for people about perceiving Einstein's general theory of relativity. When general theory of relativity, he explains gravity, connecting it to the other dimensions, I believe. Gravity is there, gravity is gravity. But he expressed in a different way and different level, and he never used our regular geometry, Euclid geometry. We use Euclid geometry, it belongs to two dimension only. And he has used something different. See, what is the difference means? If you see, if you draw a triangle in a paper, all the 3 degrees will be, when you add, it will be 180. But whereas in the other dimension, in other geometry, it will not be 180, it will be less. How can it be? It has to be in some other plane, some other level of thinking, some other mathematical formula. That mathematical formula which he has used was 170 years old, devised by a Poland person and a Russian. It was not used popularly. And that calculation, that mathematics he has applied for this gravity, and he has drawn the space-time diagram. Let us see. There is no multi-consciousness in the beginning, hence we cannot perceive. the word infinity can suit only absolute space, which is in the mindscape of divinity. We very easily say infinity. Infinity is only, so for example, I tell you, sir, it is only mathematical. It is in metaphysics. It is only in our mindscape. You cannot put it physically. No, if you want to go deep into it, in Netflix, there is a document about this uh, infinity. No, nobody was able to prove that physically. We cannot bring it physically, the infinity, but only absolute space and the consciousness of that level can only be applied with the term infinity. Universe is expanding as per Big Bang and Maharishi. Science says the expansion rate is 73 kilometers per second per MPC. What is MPC means? It is 3 billion trillion kilometers or 3.3 million light years. I just calculated with simple classical mathematics. It comes to between sun and the moon. Moon is drifting away about 18 millimeter, I believe. I think I calculated. It is 18 millimeter per annum. Yes, it is 18 millimeter per annum. It comes. Says primary energy particle. Maharishi says primary energy particle Vedan and its base, that is space, formative dust particles, are augmenting, that is increasing in volume. But the difference is, as per Vethathiriyam, the universe did not bang with a big burst, big bang. It gradually expanded. It is not like a Big Bang theory, it is suddenly like firecrackers of Diwali. It has expanded. It was not like that. It gradually expanded. As per Vethathiriyam, what we have explained earlier, it bubbled out. It has come slowly, it was expanding. How it is expanding means the Vethathiriyam, as per Vethathiriyam, there was first it came out as a formative dust particle, and the formative dust particle got crunched by the surrounding pressure force of the absolute space itself, and that make them uh, thick, dense. With dense formative dust particles, the surrounding pressure force was opposed and it starts drilling and the Vetan formed. There is no mention of space in its constituent in this science. But Maharishi says formative dust particles which are magnetic from the space. Okay, let us ask the science. What is space? There is no space, there is no answer in for it. It is not of science take the space as granted. It will be drifting, drifting, drifting. There is no need of space or anything. There is no mention of the space. If anybody knows about that, if science has mentioned the space as this, if they could tell, I will be highly grateful. But Maharishi says formative dust particles which are magnetic form, which are in magnetic form, magnetic form this space. Now the main base of Big Bang theory is a general theory of relativity. When universe expands, at one point there will be reversal. Big Bang says all matters will be coming closer and closer and end up at singularity. All the mass and energy will be packed to subatomic particle level. These are only by calculation. It is only the thesis, not science. Then what is science? Science has to bring proof, something physically or something with the physical effect. Without that, nothing can be called as science. Likewise, these are only we by calculation, reversal of the calculation, we come to conclusion that everything has got densed and packed into a single point. So there is infinite matter and infinite energy. As per Vethathiriyam, whichever has a beginning, it should have an end. The receding takes place by the act of secondary level consciousness when it realizes as that itself is total and depiction of a absolute space. Then it will become a black spot. Black hole and black spot are different. Black hole is intensive gravity. Black spot is nothingness. And any mass or energy will become absolute space, the divinity. I think I don't have to explain. The black, we say in science, black hole, black hole. Still, they are not black. There is no nothingness in that. There is gravity, enormous gravity. So we are not able to see the form of gravity because even light cannot escape from that. That is the thing. But Maharishi says the end of the Vethan is black spot. When it reduces its speed, it goes on reducing the speed and getting into other dimensions like electron, proton, neutron, and black spot. It will vanish. It will merge into the absolute space. Dark energy is mysterious form of energy that makes up to 68 to 70% of the total energy content of the universe and is thought to be responsible for the accelerated expansion of the universe, where we go, where Vethathiriyam goes hand in hand with this theory. Here is the breakdown. In 1920s, Edwin Hubble discovered the universe is expanding. For decades, scientists assumed this expansion should gradually slow down because of gravity pulls matter together. However, in 1998, two independent search teams, the Supernova Cosmology Project, High Z Supernova Search Team, found the expansion of the universe is actually speeding up, accelerating, not slowing down. They discovered this by observing distant type law supernova, which act as a standard candles. Candles means light, the measurement for the lights to measure cosmic distances. This unexpected acceleration implied the existence of some unknown force or energy counteracting the gravity on large scales, which we now call dark energy. The world's most powerful, I tell you, the dark energy. What is dark energy? I think I have in other slides. No. Then I will tell you. This is the dark energy is nothing but the Vethans at the birth. They are being surrounded by the surrounding pressure force and drilling at a very high speed. The speed with which it revolves, you cannot interact with it. It was all totally repulsive nature. So the dark energy um, 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 is also of repulsive nature. So we can say that this repulsiveness or is from Vedan. That is what we have to derive. And there are other supporting documents as well. And some of them I have written in my book. They are important. I will talk. Something I have written about the steady state theory, which is not important. Important this one. In 5 or 6 places where I read about CMB, we will come to CMB, cosmic microwave background. Is more important. We have already discussed about that. Now, in fact, they observed it outside the galaxies, namely the big void in between galaxies. Why not among the stars? Not in the interstellar. It is only the temperature that is prevailing. Scientists say CMB is the remnants of the Big Bang high temperature. It is only temperature, and they visualize it as the remnant spectrum of the Big Bang. They express it. What is the scientific proof? The existence is only the temperature, which is minus 270 degrees centigrade. If there can if there is there can be some other reason also behind that. What if the Veta voids are filled with a particle that are spinning at very high speeds? any movement will cause heat. For example, in star forming, the hydrogen stars, due to gravity, hydrogen atoms due to gravity of the nucleus of the forming star. Then the gravity of the nucleus is increasing, is keep on increasing. When the velocity of the atom increase, velocity of the falling atom increase, because the gravity increases once the hydrogen atoms are added at one place or one point, and because of that, the pulling speed also will increase. When the velocity of the falling atoms increases, there will be temperature. So the temperature also increases. It acts opposite to gravity. It prevents the self-crunching. Instead of going as a black hole, the temperature generated because the falling atoms prevents the star to self-collapse. That is how. When there is a temperature by the falling atoms, there could be chance that the whirling Vathons also may create. What is the other, this one is supportive points are, these are observed beyond beyond the galaxies. And one comparison is this, as I said, this CMB is visual or is observed only beyond the galaxies or between the galaxies. And as per Hubble theory, the galaxies are all moving apart, not the stars or anything moving apart. That pushing force or whatever is repulsing, it is in between the galaxies. That is what I read in so many places. So it also has to be clarified by someone or by more reading. The world, this is also supporting for Vethathiriyam, the world's most powerful telescope is the James Webb Space Telescope, launched by NASA in December 2021. It is the largest, most complex observatory ever sent into space. Its advanced infrared capabilities allow it to observe distant galaxies, stars, and exoplanet atmospheres, providing insights into the universe's earliest moments. Recently, James Webb Space Telescope has made significant discoveries, including the detection of the earliest confirmed black hole in the universe, detailed images, analysis of the Sombrero galaxy, revealing reasons for slowed star formation. In that galaxy, the formation of the stars were very low, and for that they say that it is presentation of percent of the carbon dioxide or something. The telescope has also provided insight into the atmosphere of exoplanets and the universe very large early galaxies. This is the most important point. When James Webb when the James Webb delivered this picture of this early galaxies, everyone were perplexed. For the science, only the objects or anything present in this universe are drifting away. For them, galaxies and other things are moving apart. Vethathiriyam also says. But the difference is, in Vethathiriyam, the galaxies are moving along with its space where it sits. That is the difference. So there are in at that distance, whatever the galaxy picturized by James Webb Telescope, it was not like the other galaxies. And it was supposed to be of earliest galaxy, but it was not so. The galaxy was just forming and in distorted condition. So that perplexed the scientists who are working on the galaxy formation. A lady was there, she gave an interview also.
I'm not able to hear anything.
Hello.
Yeah,
Are
we
you
could
hearing?
hear, yeah. We could hear clearly.
Okay. I have come to the conclusion. So, now if you take a Big Bang theory was supported by two theses. One is expansion of the universe. Are you are not able to hear, sir? Hello? Are you hearing?
I'm able to hear.
Okay. One is expansion of the universe and its crunch. Second one is CMB. But Maharishi's Vedant could be a challenger to the residual spectrum as CMB. I hope if someone brings black and white scientific proof for Vedant as dark energy with minus 270 degrees temperature, this could be achieved by mere mathematical calculation. But the day will come. The Vatan might be in I think Planck. Everybody knows. As Planck's constant is the smallest in the scientific world. I think 0.63 something to the power of 10 to the power of minus 63. That is the smallest. If as per Vethathiriyam, the smallest particle is Vedan, and Vedan could be producing to that level. That is that number which was given by Planck is 1 quantum. So we can compare with that. I think someone has to work on that only. It means at this particular second, the universe has. Einstein said it is when someone asked a scientist about the space, he said Einstein said it is finite, without boundaries. It means at this particular second, the universe has a boundary. But next second, it would be different. It means the universe is expanding on the other space. Space sitting on the other space. The universe sitting on the other space. Where is the other space? On the basis of Vethathiriyam, it is absolute space. Again, absolute space. If it is so, where is the absolute space? Where absolute space sits? Ultimately, it has to be the mindscape of the divinity. It is the consciousness of the divinity. Everything in this universe, whatever is happening, whatever is there, matter or energy, all are in the consciousness of the divinity. The secondary dimension, Vedan, has the first and lowest consciousness. It reacts against the spinning motion created outside by the surrounding pressure force for the purpose of sustenance. Its reaction by the consciousness is carried by it stops. When something revolves, the Vedan, it acts against that. It acts against that spinning motion. Why? Means if it just spins, that Vedan, if it starts spinning along with that force, means it is nothing. There is no difference. It is only surrounding pressure force. If it is a Vedan, if it is separate, if it is different from that surrounding pressure force, if it has to be different from others, it opposes in its consciousness. For the purpose of sustenance. Its reaction by the consciousness is carried by the formative dust particles, that is unmanifested magnet, as a magnetic impulse or magnetic signal, anything you may call. The consciousness is getting into energy or action. By then, it becomes a universal magnet. One of the 5 senses, pressure, that is touch, with magnetic signal from the secondary consciousness, Vedan, it spreads into the universal space, and on the way collided by the nearby Vedans. This is called spreading waves. In the evolution of the Vedan, first comes dark energy. after reduced speed dark matter, and all the particles which are undivisible are the evolution of the Vedanta, even the quarks also. I mean, what I say is, in science, they name different particles in different names. But what I suggest, what according to Vethathiriyam, if you go, Vedan, if it gives different signals by way of raising its consciousness level, we may call it as a different particle. Suppose if I am locked in a dark room and people are outside the room, if I talk different languages, the people outside the room may consider that there are so many people are there, they speak on their own languages. So there could be some so many people like that, they may decide, isn't it? That is how I am representing and opposing that word. There is no need for the, when the weight increases in a particle, there is no need for the volume to rise. This is basic of Vethathiriyam. Vethathiriyam says, in Tamil I will tell, Vegam Kureya, Vivegam Virum. This is the basic concept of Vethathiriyam. Weight means its attractive force. In what way we are telling the weight of the sun? It is its escape velocity, its gravity. With that we say the weight, judging on the earth scale. The gravity which is related to its speed of revolution. The point is of this point is of Vethathiriyam. When three quarks join together, according to me, up to the quark stage, the Vedana is by increase of the consciousness, by increase of its awareness, it is emanating into quarks. To till that level, it is only the variations of the Vedan. When three quarks join together by common consciousness, then comes, it reaches the end as quarks, and three quarks put together by a common consciousness is neutron. Neutron is of another dimension. This consciousness will be having two levels. One is first bifurcated consciousness of Vedan, and the common consciousness of neutron. So with this I will end. It is getting late. So that is how the universe blossomed. We from three getting into atoms. When it goes into atoms, the atom will have a common consciousness, and as a hydrogen, and it will have electron, consciousness of electron. It will have consciousness of proton, and the proton will have the consciousness of quarks. And if you go to the higher degree of atoms, all this is it. The common consciousness was growing. Why the common consciousness is growing is it has a intention within that, while from Vedan. What pushes it into other dimensions and other forms means it wanted to expand and become its earlier position of infinity, absolute space. It moves like that. It moves towards that. That is how we can explain so many things through how the consciousness plays a role in each and everything. And not only that, every particle is being affected by its own consciousness and other consciousness and combined consciousness. Like that, we can keep on expansion. We can explaining, and when time comes, we will discuss about it. Thank you very much for each and everyone. Hello.
Hello. Yes. Yeah. வாழ்க வளமுடன் ஐயா. It was a wonderful, detailed information touched this vast topic from single divine dust particle to vast universe, and gave a lot of information. We are going to have a QA session, and before that, we wanted to hear from MBR ஐயா, his opinion and remarks. Now, ஐயா வாழ்க வளமுடன். MBR ஐயா, can you able to hear me? Aya, we cannot able to hear you. I think we can go with the QA session. I will call by the time. We can go with the QA session. Whoever has any questions, you can ask Vasudevan.
I think, madam, I have confused everybody so that no questions will arise.
Please, anyone wants to post a question, you can raise now and ask.
வாழ்க வளமுடன். So Aya is online. He is not able to hear from Zoom. So he is online with my phone. He is going to give his view on the topic. Aya, here, Aya. Everybody can able to hear.
வாழ்க வளமுடன். Is everyone hearing? Am I audible?
Yeah, it is audible.
Audible. Okay. Now, Vasudevan, I congratulate you
Yes, Aya.
without understanding many of the things.
Thank you, Aya.
You are telling something, but I am not able to follow it, partly because of my mobile and also partly because of my inability to understand what you are telling. It appears to be higher physics or the super science, which I don't follow. So what can we do, or what can I do? Shall I ask you, request you to represent it for some time? For the last 3 or 4 minutes, I was not able to hear you at all. You were telling about the
About how the consciousness acts.
Sir, வாழ்க வளமுடன் sir.
expansion and contraction of the space. After some time, it expands and then it starts contracting.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So that part I was able to hear. After that, there was total silence.
Sir, it's not audible.
So I request the audience to say if they are able to understand, they can explain, or if they want to hear from Vasudevan again, we can get a replay of the today's session. What Vasudevan, what do you say?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. But what was my intention was this basic theory. This is how the universe should have evolved. I am quite confident. I contradicted with my little knowledge what theory of Big Bang has told. So I thought in this group, in this Zoom session, there would be a lot of learned audiences and educated, much educated audience will be available, and they will think over it. They will be able to build and prove it.
Vasudevan, kindly allow me to interrupt. So, an appeal to the audience. How many of you were able to understand? Just let me.
வாழ்க வளமுடன். வாழ்க வளமுடன். Vasudevanaya, your lecture was very informative. Lot of scientific information you have given. Plus, you also compared with our Vethathiriyam. One thing I could understand, as Maharishi has told him, the space has got a consciousness, it is called a total consciousness, and he also tells this is the consciousness of divinity. From that only divine dust particle has come as the first evaluation or transformation. Then the second transformation is we call it as energy particles or a life force particle or Vedan. So you mentioned as Vedan. Okay. And now consciousness, the one part is consciousness, another is force. It is self-compressive surrounding pressure force. Now from the pressure force, we obviously also called it as a compressive force as a gravity, or we can also call it as a attractive force as per scientists, Newton or Einstein. And he also told Einstein was telling the whole universe is constant. Then later on, Hubble has told expanding universe is there since the stars are moving. And you now mentioned the galaxies are moving out. Total galaxies are moving out, and galaxies, and between the above the galaxy there is only a space which is infinite space, and between the galaxies also is space, and there it is a, you call it as black energy, you know. So one thing what Maharishi is told is it is a spinning system. Okay. In the spinning system, the first is living dust particle is spinning at a very high speed. It came from the, or it is produced from the space. When the spinning, in the spinning speed, velocity is reduced, we call it as an electron. When again it is speed is reduced, it is called it as a proton. Then again speed is very much reduced, it becomes a neutron. Then finally, when the speed is becomes zero, it becomes a black spot, black hole. So that is, it is all relating based on the velocity of the spinning system. And that way I could understand. Then another thing, what Malji told also, you also confirmed it. The first divine dust particle is the unmanifested magnetism. Malji also explained it. It is the unmanifested magnetism. Divine dust particle is also called as magnetism. Then the association of divine dust particles becomes a Vedant or a life force particles. And within the life force particles, divine dust particles are there. So that is called manifested magnetism. So that is the manifested magnetism. Then another point is told universal magnetism. The divine dust particles are coming out of the Vedant. There it comes as a magnetic wave. That magnetic wave is called universal magnetism. So unmanifested, first is absolute space, which is infinity. There is no limit, boundary limit, completely filled with space. Before space also, space only. So divine dust particle came in. So we call it as unmanifested magnetism. Within the Vedant or life force particle, it is called manifested magnetism. When the divine dust particles are coming out of the life force particle, it is called universal magnetism. And the same life force particles inside the within a living organism, it is called a life force particle. And the magnetism, the divine dust particles coming out as a they are called, we call it as a biomagnet. So these are all the ways. Biomagnetism, universal manifested magnetism, unmanifested magnetism, then absolute space as a divinity. Okay. Now consciousness, consciousness exists in the divinity itself. It is a total consciousness. And the Maharishi explains the total consciousness as the order of function. So order of function is the variation in the spinning system. So what happens there, due to spinning system, there it becomes a repulsive force. Compressive force is there, repulsive force. when the repulsive force is changes, so speed variation so becomes the density variation. So this way it is all coming in. And you mentioned that from Vedant quartz level and quartz level and black energy level, and the Planck constant, a very minute level. So that is also you explained. Only my question or doubt is between galaxies, what is the only space is there? There exists consciousness. That is his original total consciousness or eternal consciousness. That is there. So there you say some expansion and contraction. Then my understanding of contraction is that, according to Mother Rizvi, the whole absolute space divine dust particles are produced. So number of divine dust particles are coming out. It is all increasing. And another way is the divine dust particles coming out of Vedant or life force particle, which merges with the space and reduces its speed and becomes space itself. So there is a two. One is production of divine dust particles. The another is depth of divine dust particles. So two things are there. The rate of increase of production of divine dust particles is more, then the whole universe is filled with the divine dust particles and the Vedant or a life force particle. When the depth of or merging of divine dust particles with the space and becomes one, and the rate of depth or divine dust particles increases, then both are equal, it becomes constant. So the universe will not expand, it will stop the expansion. When the depth of divine dust particles increases, that means more divine dust particles are dying. So total number of divine dust particles are Vedant in the whole universe will be less. So then the universe will contract. It will go on contracting or shrinking. And it may not go to zero level or minimum some level, then again it will start expanding. The universe will start expanding. So the expansion, contraction, again expansion, it is also a wave theory. As Maharishi has given a wave theory, but the philosophy of magnetism is completely a wave theory. So the whole universe also will become a wave. It is present. In the Big Bang theory, there is a contradiction between Maharishi's theory and Big Bang. How do we say in one point the whole energy is there? So that is only a contradiction between Vethathiriyam and Big Bang theory of scientists. So one point, whole energy is there. Whereas Maharishi says the whole entire absolute space without boundary has got energy or force. Everything is there. But in Big Bang theory, what we said, Einstein or Hubble or Friedman or Stephen Hawking, all these things, Big Bang theory is contradicted by Swamiji. So now it is only a whole energy, or that's why he said force. He word only force. So complete energy is filled with the absolute space. We can say energy cannot be created or energy cannot be destroyed. If that statement is correct, the whole universe, absolute space is filled with energy. From that only, that energy, Maharishi calls this as a compressive force. And in science, we can say compressive force, energy, distance, 3 dimensions, or see, normally what we understand Newtonian physics or Einstein physics. So very simple equation is what is force? Force is equal to mass into acceleration. Mass in kilogram into acceleration is change in velocity. So velocity is speed by time. So Maharishi said 4 dimensions. Para Pura Parmat. Actually, mass, distance, velocity, time. So all these things, F equal to M into A is a simple equation, force, and F into distance moved, it becomes an energy. So energy is there. From the energy, force has come. From the force, distance is velocity as well. That is rotation. It can be a linear velocity or it is a rotational velocity, angular velocity.
Angular.
So movement can be anything, forward motion or linear motion. So basically, there is an energy, the total energy in the absolute space, and the absolute space is limitless, no boundary, and it has got total consciousness. That consciousness has come into action as an order of function. That is inanimate things, Mother say three pattern, precision, and regularity, and in living beings, 1 to 5 consciousness. As a perception, cognition, experience, and discrimination, and finally in human being as a seventh dimension of consciousness, the self-realization, the realization of the absolute space in the mind of the human being. So this is the total, my understanding is the Maharishi with and Big Bang Theory. Big Bang Theory in a few seconds, how much distance is moved, how much expands, all these things are there. But what is the starting point? That question is not answered by the scientists, or I could not understand that in Big Bang Theory. Kindly explain that about what all of this. This is my total understanding. Your lecture was very nice. Why,
Thank you. Thank you. If provided with time, I will be able to explain certain things. But I think it is getting late for this Zoom. I don't know.
Can I put?
Pardon.
Yeah, Aya is talking now.
Vasudevan,
Yeah, சொல்லுங்க.
see, what is the starting point in Maharishi's philosophy? Is it the absolute space covering kinematic vibrations there? Is it the starting point, or the appearance of the surrounding self-compressive pressure force and the unmanifested magnetism? That is before the Vedants start fully functioning. Is it right?
Exactly, sir.
So, at that stage, if the spin has started, if the spinning force is greater than the surrounding self-compressive force, the spin will be annihilated. It will be suppressed by the surrounding self-compressive force. If it is more than that, the high spin will throw this particle out of the place in which we observe. It will go. It will be. It will no longer be available for observation. It will go off out of the area of observation. So it is difficult to carry on with what you say, because if the particle is not going to be there, our discussion becomes meaningless, isn't it? Vasudevan?
Yes. Actually, according to theory, if you say the first particle Vedan is being spun or being made to revolve by the surrounding pressure force. The surrounding pressure force is not compressing; it is making the Vedan to revolve at very high speed. The very high speed is being blocked or resisted by the consciousness of the Vedan to some extent. It is according to the level of the consciousness, the speed of the Vedan is getting reduced and getting transformed into the other particles. So the dark energy, what they say, they are telling the energy only. When they say energy, energy means it should have a base, something, a moolam. It has to have a primary thing. Energy cannot exist on its own. It should be evolved from some particle. Particle in the sense it should have the gravity.
Only I expect the inability to understand because of the multiple level of consciousness operating. You said in one place it is multiple consciousness, at another level it is simple, and we don't argue with a fixed set accepted norms. So when we discuss without norms, it becomes very difficult to transact. What do you say?
Yes, sir. Because Maharishi himself has told, even Vedan cannot be, Vedan is invisible, but it can be perceived by its latter actions of repulsive nature and attractive nature and becoming this one we can perceive the Vedans, but it is invisible. The nothing can detect.
You mean we can sense it, if not perception is not possible. Yes. It can be intuitively sensed. So, what shall we do? Ashwinji is here?
No, I am not hearing. It was distorting.
No. Ashwinji, is he here?
Yes, namaskar, doctor and everybody. Yeah. This had been a very interesting and highly informative presentation to me. And instead of me making any comments, because I have lots of questions in my own mind, but my recommendation is to break up this presentation into at least 2 to 3 parts and go slowly. I personally felt that it was a little fast, or maybe too fast for a general audience. That way we can digest the scientific basis of the entire content of his presentation. I think this is a very valuable presentation for the entire group. So that's what my suggestion would be. And, Mr. Vasudevan has done an excellent job in putting all the information together. And even the style of the presentation may be where you are comparing the other scientists with Maharishi's concepts and scientific basis. If we can if that can be made in a tabular form, on one side you have one scientist, on the other side you have Maharish's concepts one-to-one, then it will be much easier for general people also to grasp. But this is my suggestion. That's just a style of presentation. But overall, it's an excellent content and the presentation. And I would like to see personally if it can be broken up into some 2 or 3 presentations. That's where I would end. Thank you.
Sir. It is taken up, sir.
I didn't mean to criticize. I'm appreciative of everything that you have presented.
Of course, sir. As I told earlier, my intention was I want to bring everything into that small time. And if there are people who are in a higher level, they will be able to take up these points and improve on that and prove that Vethathiriyam is the way of universal existence. That was my intention.
Vethathiriyam is the explorative tool we have. So Vasudevan, kindly arrange to break it up this thing, and we will discuss it in the next Saturday.
Definitely, sir. I will break it. I will elaborate certain points with some examples. I have about 100 pages. I have many things I deleted. So I will bring in according to my knowledge and whatever my thinking. Accordingly, I will try to bring up the things in a simple way.
Yeah, I think not just 2, but whatever. If you think that it can be broken up into more pieces, it will, in your opinion, that is also acceptable to us, because when you say 100 pages means you have a lot of information to share and a lot to discuss and present. So I would say that break it up as much as you can, and that way common or non-scientific audience, people who do not have scientific background, will also be able to understand much better.
Of course, sir. What I feel, if we take it up as an interaction session, that is when we discuss about that, it should be as a discussion. Then and there, we will be able to come to a point.
For the participants who are all interested in a detailed discussion with Vasudevan and the material which he presented, who are all willing to take part in that discussion? Is Naresh here, Bangalore?
No, Maya. Naresh, is not here.
Right.
I think if it is broken up and, Mr. Vasudevan said that make it more interactive, I think that will also help I meant that will also help the people with non-science background, to understand, because Maharishi wants everybody to understand everything that he says, so it'll become much more easier for even people without scientific background.
Level of genius, his level of genius and expertise, he was able to present it so that majority of the people who were listening to him were able to understand, including those who were not educated, who were not exposed to science. They were able to understand. So that is the greatness of Maharishi, and that simplicity is his hallmark character. So he is able to break up the most difficult principles into simple, understandable facts. That's why the Vedhathirian philosophy has reached so many people. And let us see in the next class, of the participants who are here, who will be taking part in the interactive session with Vasudevan.
Also, my
I
suggestion.
am,
Sorry.
Yes.
My suggestion is that we can bring some graphical slides to illustrate these concepts, so it will make easier for everyone to understand and visualize. For me, it
And
looks.
you are there to do it. You bring the visual clippings so that we can understand it better.
Okay, I can work with Vasudevan on this.
Please, sir.
Yes. So for the present, Vijayalakshmi, you can conclude
Sure, Gaya.
to start again. Well, if it is next Saturday, it takes a long time. So you can put it on Monday and Wednesday so that before next Saturday, we will have 2-3 discussions so that we are able to come to conclusion much earlier. Is it okay, Vijayalakshmi?
Oh, sure, Gaya. We will arrange a separate meeting on Monday and Wednesday. I'm not sure who are all wanted to have discussion on that meeting, except
Those who want to participate, kindly inform Professor Vijayalakshmi. We will invite those people.
I am interested to participate. வாழ்க வளமுடன்.
Those who are not participating in the discussion can also join as a silent participant.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay, yeah. So we will communicate in the Life Force group itself. I will add Vasudevan Ayya, yeah, Amagaya, right? We will keep the Life Force.
Yeah, of course.
Mhm. So I will add
Ayya,
Vasudevan
if it
Ayya, the Life Force WhatsApp group that we have, Vasudevan Ayya. So we
Okay,
can communicate, and who are not in this group today meetings also, they can join.
Ashwinji is also coming, and
Yes, I'm very much interested into this. Definitely.
Ayya, if it is Wednesday, it is better because by Monday I have to submit my theory in Ariviyal Arangam. That is waiting and pending. So I have to
So we
complete
want
that and
only
hand
one day meeting on Wednesday, Gaya. Wednesday alone is
Wednesday.
fine.
Wednesday we will have.
you will have it on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday.
Vasudevan
Okay.
Ayya is saying that when Monday he has a meeting in Ariviyal Arangam, that he needs to submit.
No, I have to submit.
Him go, rest of us can discuss, and he can finish his part a little bit earlier and come and join. Can I request you, Vasudevan, to finish off your portion in Ariviyal Arangam quicker and join the Life Force?
Or
Yeah,
we
of
can
course.
change the time, our Life Force meeting, this meeting time we can change to little bit earlier, not 7:30, 5 o'clock.
They are meeting between 7 and 8 p.m., isn't it, Vasudevan?
Yeah. That day I have to submit my this one thesis. What I have written about what Ariviyal Arangam gave me the topic that I have to submit. That was the work.
So we can have at 4:30 or 5 p.m. IST.
IST,
Can we have
no
at
problem.
5
Yeah,
p.m.
no
or
problem.
4:30? I will.
4 o'clock.
Yeah.
4 o'clock, yes.
4 to 5.
4 to 5.
Oh, sure.
Okay. Okay. So 4 to 5, we will have a meeting on
Yeah,
Monday.
what will be the US time?
US time will be 6:30 in the morning.
Yeah, otherwise, if it,
too early?
Not too early. 6:30 should be fine. Ashwinji, is it?
I don't know. I'm not that early bird, but I will do it.
Okay. Okay. You can do it.
Okay. We will do it, Mark. Conclude.
Okay, Gaya. Okay, Gaya. Yeah, let us conclude today's session with the blessings, with the world blessings. May the world be blessed with plenty of rain. The farmers work to produce an abundance of grain. Let practitioners of all prosper, flourish, and grow. And culture progress through the need to share and grow. Let the rulers be beyond feelings of anger or fear. Illiteracy, poverty, and all evils made to disappear. With the true lamp of knowledge burn steady and bright. Our sense of duty guide us along paths always right. உலகமெல்லாம் பருவமழை ஒத்தபடி பெய்யட்டும், உழவரெல்லாம் தானியத்தை ஒப்புடனே பெருக்கட்டும், பல தொழில்கள் புரிகின்ற பாட்டாளி உயரட்டும், பகுத்துணர்வில் தொகுத்துணர்வு பண்பாட்டை உயர்த்தட்டும், கலகங்கள் போட்டி பகை கடந்தாற்றி நடக்கட்டும், கல்லாமை கடன் வறுமை களங்கங்கள் மறையட்டும், நல வாழ்வை அளிக்கும் மெய் ஞான ஒளி வீசட்டும், நம் கடமை அறவாழ்வின் நாட்டத்தே சிறக்கட்டும், நம் கடமை அறவாழ்வின் நாட்டத்தே சிறக்கட்டும், நம் கடமை அறவாழ்வின் நாட்டத்தே சிறக்கட்டும். வாழ்க வையகம், வாழ்க வையகம், வாழ்க வளமுடன். தேங்க்யூ. வாழ்க வளம்.